This is a bus. This is the Clintons. This is the Clintons under the bus. In order to take advantage of the Roy Moore sex scandal, the Democrats have to throw the Clintons under the bus. It also helps with the rise of the socialist wing of the party, so it's lots of fun to take responsibility now that there's no price to pay, political price to pay, for actually talking about Predator-in-Chief Bill and his moll, Hillary. All right, we're going to talk about that. Plus, we got Cassie J, a feminist filmmaker who took the red pill as she was making her film The Red Pill about the men's movement. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, roll to zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, so much stuff going on. The mailbag is tomorrow. Yeah. Got to be in the mailbag. You have to subscribe to be in the mailbag. A lousy $10 a month, and I will solve all of your problems. You can ask anything you want. What you do is you go on. I'm going to get this right one day. You go on, you hit the podcast button, and then there's Andrew Klavan Show, and then
the mailbag button.
Mailbag button. You hit the mailbag button. You can ask anything you want. Religious questions, personal questions, political questions. Answers are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life on occasion for the better. And while you're asking questions, today is The Conversation with Michael Knowles, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Michael's conversation will stream live on the Daily Wire website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel, and it will be free for everyone to watch. But again, only subscribers can ask Knowles the questions. Subscribe now to ask Knowles questions and join the conversation. And you want to especially try to attack the Pope because he hates that. And we'll have to see if he can defend himself. Plus, we have a new sponsor. And now listen, you don't have to listen to this ad. This ad is strictly for my wife. Okay, it's only all I want is for my wife to hear this ad. Or if you happen to be a woman who wants to get something for Christmas for a guy, or you happen to be a guy who wants something for Christmas from a girl, or you even are just a guy who wants to get something for yourself, you have got to check out Man Crates. But I'm talking basically to my wife here. So just here it is. Mancrates.com is the surest way to find gifts that guys will actually love, guaranteed. I mean, I have this every Christmas. My wife says to me, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I say, I got everything. I don't know. I don't want, I think most guys are like this, right? But this isn't some kind of cheese of the month club or new tie or anything. Man Crates offers over 100 hand-curated gift collections for every type of guy, from the rugged outdoorsman to the sports fanatic, everything in between. They've got like the Whiskey Appreciation Crate. I hope you're hearing that, Mrs. Klavan, the Whiskey Appreciation Crate with a personalized decanter and glasses for a guy's favorite drink. Grill Master Crate with a brass knuckle meat tenderizer and a cast iron smoker box. I love this. I love this. Just go to mancrates.com and pick the perfect crate and choose the delivery date. And when the crate arrives, the guy gets a crowbar. He gets to pry it open. It comes with a laser-engraved crowbar, and you get to pry open the crate. Men's Health, Allure Magazine are saying that Man Crates are the perfect gift for men and those who don't agree on anything. They have thousands of 5-star reviews, and every Man Crate comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. I hope certain people are listening to this. You can own the holidays if you go to mancrates.com/Klavan.
How do you spell it? I want to do it.
Everybody wants this, right? But you got to spell it with Klavan. You get 5% off your order. That's at mancrates.com/Klavan. 5% off. Mancrates, C-R-A-T-E-S, obviously, .com/Klavan. I hope certain people are listening to that ad because it does sound like the greatest thing ever. I will test it out, but I haven't tested it out yet. And it really does sound terrific. All right. So we have to, first of all, talk about the new accusations against Roy Moore. A woman came out. This is the fifth woman accusing him. Obviously, Roy Moore, the guy who is slated to replace Jeff Sessions in the Alabama Senate. He's running for election against a Democrat in a very red state, but this is really hurting him. Beverly Young Nelson's the fifth woman. She came out at a press conference with Gloria Allred. Now, normally when you sit next to Gloria Allred, you immediately look like you're lying because Gloria Allred is just like this hit girl lawyer. But she says that Moore trapped her in his car 40 years ago when she was 16, and this is not like, put his hand on her. He genuinely attacked her. Play the first cut of this.
Instead of answering my questions, Mr. Moore reached over and began groping me and putting his hands on my breast. I tried to open my car door to leave, but he reached over and he locked it so I could not get out. I tried fighting him off while yelling at him to stop. But instead of stopping, he began squeezing my neck, attempting to force my head onto his crotch. I continued to struggle. I was determined that I was not going to allow him to force me to have sex with him. I was terrified.
Yeah, okay, so if you think that accusation can't get any worse, wait till you hear this. Here's the second cut.
At some point, he gave up. And he then looked at me and he told me, he said, "You're just a child." And he said, "I am the district attorney of Etowah County. And if you tell anyone about this, no one will ever believe you."
So I forget which of the 10 Commandments forbids you to try to rape children and then bully them into silence, but I think Moore may have left that. Could be all of the 10 Commandments, like every page of the Bible. Holy moly. I mean, that's bad. And it's hard to look at that woman and think like, yeah, she's like some paid informant. I mean, she looked like she was telling the truth to me. I got to say, Roy Moore, let's be fair. He says it ain't so. She says that they met at a restaurant called the Old Hickory House Restaurant. And here is Moore's response.
I want to address what's been brought out on television today by Gloria Allred and a client that she has about things I allegedly did. I want to make it perfectly clear. The people of Alabama know me. They know my character. They know what I've stood for in the political world for over 40 years. And I can tell you without hesitation, this is absolutely false. I never did what she said I did. I don't even know the woman. I don't know anything about her. I don't even know where the restaurant is or was. And if you look at this situation, you'll see that because I'm 11 points ahead, or 10 or 11 points ahead, this race being just 28 days off, that this is a political maneuver and has nothing to do with reality. It's all about politics.
Okay, so the thing is, he says he's never heard of the restaurant, doesn't know where it is, never met the woman. She has produced her high school yearbook. Can we have a picture of that? That says, it's signed Roy Moore. It says, "To a sweeter, more beautiful girl, I could not say Merry Christmas. Christmas 1977. Love, Roy Moore. DA 122277 Old Hickory House Restaurant." I know. It's like, Roy, I'm not so sure you're doing as well here as you might be. These women are beginning to look pretty believable, in which case you are a piece of crap. If like half that story is true, you are a piece of crap. The Republicans, obviously, in Congress have just had it with this. And Mitch McConnell has absolutely no patience with sex scandals. Remember Larry Craig? I mean, Larry Craig, he's the guy who was arrested at the Minneapolis airport by an undercover cop who was picking up guys because they would apparently gay guys would pick up people through the stalls or something, and he busted Larry Craig. And Mitch McConnell has absolutely no patience with that. And that was a big one because that really cost a lot of seats. And then there was Bob Packwood. He was from Oregon. He resigned in 1995 under the threat of expulsion. And so this is Mitch McConnell talking yesterday, tight-lipped. I mean, Mitch McConnell doesn't have a lot of lip to begin with. He's got very thin lips to begin with, but they were vanished. They had vanished. This is him answering questions at the Capitol.
Is the burden on Moore to prove these false versus someone to prove that these are true in this situation? Or do you believe these allegations to be true?
I believe the women, yes.
you calling for him to step down from that Senate race?
I did. I think he should step aside.
Are you encouraging a write-in campaign by Senator Strange?
That's an option we're looking at, whether or not there is someone who could mount a write-in campaign successfully.
Would it be Senator Strange, do you think?
We'll see.
So, yeah, it's like there was one thing they were floating where apparently the governor of Alabama can reappoint Jeff Sessions back to the seat. But Sessions says that's not happening. He doesn't want, he wants nothing to do with that. He likes where he is in the Justice Department, though he may not have liked where he was this morning before Congress being grilled about absolutely nothing, it seemed like to me. It was really bizarre. Anyway, so it's a real problem. Steve Bannon and his folks, remember, Bannon is responsible for this. And I said this yesterday. Bannon has a lot to answer for. And if this guy loses this election, I mean, look, if he wins and then the Senate throws him out, which I think for Republicans would probably be the best outcome. I mean, he wins, but they toss him out, and they're allowed to do that. They can't expel a senator, on grounds like this, for stuff like this. But Steve Bannon, now to be fair, this is a couple of days ago. This was after the first Washington Post story came out about this. But Bannon has stuck, and Breitbart sites have been concentrating on kind of attacking the accusers. And this is Bannon still defending him a couple of days ago.
They're finding some collusion going on in those stories about Judge Moore, right? Is it just a coincidence that the Bezos, Amazon, Washington Post did the Billy Bush hit, and they did the hit on Judge Moore? Yeah, just a complete random thing in the universe, right? Judge Moore, I'm standing with him.
Yeah, I don't know, Steve, buddy. It's like this one really smells. I mean, when you hear a woman talking like that, I think first of all, I think most men, their hearts immediately go like, I don't like you anymore, Mr. Moore. I think this is just a bad thing. I don't mean to laugh about it. Obviously, it's a terrible thing, but I think the corruption makes me laugh. What can I say? Yeah, that's my problem. The problem that the Democrats have is to take advantage of this and to be, pompous and sanctimonious as Democrats love to be. They have got to go back and redeem themselves on Bill Clinton. There is a great story in The Atlantic that has gotten a lot. It's got a Drudge link. It's got a lot of play. Yesterday it was on Instapundit. And it's by Caitlin Flanagan. And I should mention, because I'm going to praise the piece so unrelentingly, I should mention that Caitlin is my sister, who's actually my sister-in-law, but she has been like a little sister to me for these past 40 years. You can tell she's like a sister to me because I just annoy the hell out of her. That's what big brothers are supposed to do, right? We just annoy and pester them. But I also love her, and she's an incredible writer, and she has become an excellent journalist. I'm so proud of her, I have to just say. And she talks about the things that Bill Clinton was credibly accused of doing. Juanita Broderick reported that when she was a volunteer in one of his gubernatorial campaigns, she had arranged to meet with him at a hotel at the last minute. He changed the location to a room in the hotel where she says he very violently raped her. She said she fought against Clinton throughout a rape that left her bloodied. Paula Jones, obviously, Kathleen Willey. And she says, this is what Caitlin writes, it was a pattern of behavior. It included an alleged violent assault. The women involved had far more credible evidence than many of the most notorious accusations that have come to light in the past 5 weeks. But Clinton was not left to the swift and pitiless justice that today's accused men have experienced. Rather, he was rescued by a surprising force, machine feminism. This is Caitlin Flanagan writing in The Atlantic. Machine feminism. The movement had by then ossified into a partisan operation, and it was eager to let this friend of the sisterhood enjoy a little droit de seigneur. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it means the right of the Lord, basically. The notorious 1998 New York Times op-ed by Gloria Steinem, and she links to it, and you have to read it, must surely stand as one of the most regretted public actions of Steinem's life. It slut-shamed, victim-blamed, and age-shamed. It urged compassion for and gratitude to the man the women accused. Moreover, it characterized contemporary feminism as a weaponized auxiliary of the Democratic Party. And here's her conclusion: the Democratic Party needs to make its own reckoning of the way it protected Bill Clinton. The party needs to come to terms with the fact that it was so enraptured by their brilliant big dog president and his stunning string of progressive accomplishments that it abandoned some of its central principles. The party was on the wrong side of history, and there are consequences for that. Yet expedience is not the only reason to make this public accounting. If it is possible for politics and moral behavior to coexist, then this grave wrong needs to be acknowledged. Now, today, there's an op-ed in the New York Times, a former newspaper, called something like, "I believe Juanita Broaddrick." So the New York Times, Juanita Broaddrick just said, hell has frozen over, she said. And let's remember the thing, when you go back to this, remember the Democrats and the press are the same organization. The Democrats and the media are the same organization. So when you go back, it's the media too that is to blame. It's the media they are the Democrats. I just want to play this clip because it is unbelievable. Don Imus, you remember Don Imus, who was chased off the air by Media Matters, the same group the same Soros group that's now trying to chase Sean Hannity off the air, total hit group. But anyway, Imus is interviewing Dan Rather, godfather of fake news, right? And he's asking Dan Rather why they're not covering the Juanita Broaddrick story. This is at the time that the Juanita Broaddrick story came out, and the press and the Democrats were protecting, and the feminists were protecting Bill Clinton. It's worth listening to this because it's incredible. Have you got it?
Just keep working at it, it's fine. Try clicking off and back onto it. Okay, we'll come.
All right. I'm gonna have to put it in later on, and we'll get it going. But what Rather says this is old news, and we're just tired of hearing about it, and it happened so long ago, and we don't necessarily, we don't know whether to believe them. We're just tired of all this, and he basically covers up for Bill Clinton. It's an amazing piece of journalistic conspiracy. And Dan Rather, the fact that Dan Rather still had a job after this is an incredible fact. Let's listen to another guy who went on to become the head journalist at ABC, George Stephanopoulos. And this is Stephanopoulos back at the time. This is 92, so it's before the Monica Lewinsky story, but it's after all of the, what they called at that time the bimbo eruptions. Today they call them women accusing men, but then they were called bimbo eruptions. That's what they were deemed by Bill and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was part of this. She helped to silence these women. Here's George Stephanopoulos, now head journalist at ABC.
Now, Governor Clinton has a character problem, but I take it that your line of counterattack is that it's well. I mean, he has not denied that he has engaged in marital infidelity. He denied a specific one.
He said that he had problems in his marriage.
That's right, and he has talked about the draft, and to some people, it's a character problem.
Bill Clinton's passed his character test throughout his life and throughout this campaign. And he's shown it through his commitments to real fights. And what he's going to do in this campaign is focus on what's important to the American people, on the jobs and the education. That's what the American people care about. They want to move into the future. They don't want to be diverted by side issues.
So, I'm going to say something a little different. I'm sort of working my way through this because I believe there is something that has gone on here. Why are we doing this? Why? Now we have Republicans, and people were writing me yesterday when I went off on Roy Moore. They were saying, no, we have to, if we fight, it's just like the Muslims. If we don't fight the Muslims, if we don't, strike back against them, if the same thing with the Democrats, we have to strike back against them. It doesn't matter what Roy Moore did. We have to defend ourselves again. We're doing this because we're terrified of one another. We're terrified of one another. The Democrats back in the day defended Bill Clinton because they were terrified of us, who they thought we were. They thought we were the religious, crazy fundamentalists who were going to come and wrap them up. What's that show on TV, based on the Margaret Atwood novel, The Handmaid's Tale? They thought they were living in The Handmaid's Tale. They still think that. They're still terrified. They're living in this imaginary world where Republicans are coming to take their sex lives away and, their precious abortion rights, which maybe we do want to take away. But, they're talking about us as if we're these crazy loons, these crazy religious loons who want to crush them. Now, what happened was, because the press was owned by them because they have the powerful arm of the press. They have the powerful arm of the academy. They have the powerful arm of showbiz. It created this atmosphere where they could essentially exclude us. They could make us all seem like we were nuts. But what we did is we built an alternative press. We built Fox News. We built an alternative academy and the think tanks that we have all over the place. And we were treated into our world where we could demonize them. And now we're terrified of them. And the question is our fear justified? Listen, conservatives are always fighting the tide because the tide is always for bigger government. Government naturally expands. The powerful want more power, whether they're Republican or Democrats. The Democrats at least openly have the philosophy of more power. The Republicans pretend to have a philosophy of less power, but they're powerful people, so they want more power. So Republicans are always slightly at a disadvantage. Conservatives are always slightly at a disadvantage. It's true. But are we justified in really being this afraid of one another, so afraid of one another that we can't talk? I mean, what if we took the questions and said, instead of, let's take the questions of Islamic immigration just for a minute, and then I'll get to my guest. But let me take the question of Islamic immigration just for a minute. The left says, oh, you guys are Islamophobic bigots. You're horrible, hateful, terrible people that you want to ban Islamic immigration or limit Islamic immigration. And we say, you guys hate America and you're bringing in these terrorists to kill us and you just want to destroy everything that's good and beautiful and you pretend to be feminists, but you love these guys who dress their women in burqas. But what if those are the extreme cases? What if those people exist? But what if somewhere in the 70% of us who are in the center, there are other questions? What if on one side there are people who are concerned about religious persecution? Religious, bigotry can get very ugly very quickly, and you can have a Holocaust. The Holocaust really did happen after centuries of people picking on Jews. So maybe they're afraid of that. And maybe we can talk to them about that, and we can say, hey, on our side, this is a creedal nation. We have a creed, and it's that creed that allows us to accept all kinds of different people. But what if there's something in the Islamic creed that doesn't work with our creed? So maybe we do have to limit immigration. That's a debate between people of goodwill. That's a debate you can have. That's a debate where you don't have to be afraid of one another. The press, the fact that the press is so left-wing and the fact that we have retreated into our own right-wing cocoon is what causes us to hate and fear one another, such that we're willing to support sexual predators if they will keep our majority in Congress or in the Senate. And I think it's a problem. It is a genuine problem. And I think people of goodwill are going to have to start reaching out across the aisle because the press is our enemy here. The media is our enemy. They want to cause hatred on the other side because they're all on one side. And our press is all on one side. And I think, and that sells. That sells. That gets good ratings. And somehow we're going to have to get around that roadblock of the media and start to talk to one another face to face, because when we start to do that, we don't have to be, I hope, we don't have to be quite as afraid. Hey, the conversation is coming up with Michael Knowles, who is, I don't know, what does he do? I saw him. I know. I saw him wandering around the halls. But you can ask him questions today at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. It will stream live on the Daily Wire website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. And it's free for everyone to watch and just mock Knowles, which is always a pleasure. But subscribers can ask questions and mock Knowles face to face. Subscribe now to Ask Knowles Questions and join the conversation. I got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube, but we have Cassie J coming up, a filmmaker who made a really fascinating film called The Red Pill, and it affected her life. We're going to talk to her about that. You can come on over to thedailywire.com and hear the rest. If you subscribe for a lousy $10 a month or a lousy $100 for the year, you can watch the whole thing right on our website and get the Leftist Tears tumbler. All right, we're back. Have we got Cassie J? Yep. Cassie J, many of you know that I've been a little slightly critical. I may have said a critical word now and again about the feminist movement. And in keeping with that spirit, I wanted to bring on this actress, award-winning director, and an actress, Cassie J. She's creator of The Red Pill.